pressed. Things are moving on my screen. And we're live. Keith?
Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
My new stand-up album is now available. It's called Nice Try Tricksters. Get it wherever you get your music. I personally am a iTunes, Apple kind of guy, but whatever you like, Nice Try Tricksters.
First of all, great name.
Thank you.
Second, this is what, your 17th?
Number 17. That is correct.
Yeah.
I think I got it down now.
You're only 17.
By the way, just the art by itself alone, I think, is worth picking up. Mallory Jane did a great job. Take a look at keithandthegirl.com right now. Under show pics, you can see it, but it's pretty cool. And the jokes aren't too bad either. So again, it's a Nice Try Tricksters, number 17, and I couldn't be happier. Also, another announcement, in case you don't know, the Dad Emails book is now available, keithandthegirl.com/dad, D-A-D. You'll see the whole story there, and a link to buy the book on Amazon. And I'm very, very excited. keithandthegirl.com/dad. So these are the two things, the Dad Emails book and the new stand-up album, Nice Try Tricksters, both available right now.
Both full of trickery.
Yes. Today's guest, brand new to the Keith and the Girl world. You're going to love her. Maggie Crane. Hello, Maggie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Your stand-up is very fun.
Thank you.
You are very fun. You're very bubbly, high energy. I don't know if it's ADHD, but I like it very, very much.
It's definitely part ADHD, but I'm the kind of person who's like, I'm not gonna get it checked. I'll assume that that's what it is.
It's a good conversation starter. The assumption.
Right.
I'm like, maybe. What do you think?
If you're is this fair to say from the few videos I saw, if you're in the audience of Maggie's show and you do anything and it catches her eye, you're not necessarily part of the act, but you will have to reference it. Is that safe to say? Like
that they'll have.
If you're in the middle of a joke and somebody comes back from the bathroom, that'll definitely be pointed out. Like, welcome back, sir, and then you'll just continue your joke.
I think so. I mean, I feel like now I overcompensate for that. Do you guys have this of like when I first started doing comedy, I was so afraid to interact with the audience that I was just like kind of blinders on. And now I'm like, fuck it. What are they going to do? Like, I'll talk to them. You're going to pee in the middle of my set. Get out of here.
Like, do you ask them like, is it number one or number two?
No, because I mean, it's one of those things. I'll talk to them and then immediately I'll be like, you know, when you're like, oh, it's such a good idea to talk to this person. And then they start being boring and you're like, this is a terrible idea. Why have I done this? Right. So I try to like be like, okay, thank you very much. Bye. So good to talk to you.
Is it a true story in your stand-up when you talk about being drunk one night and the next morning is your ex-boyfriend that had to say you did something creepy? You look into it. It turns out that for the last, you went back 2 years of Venmo requests that he made and you hit like on all of them. Is that a true story?
It's a variation on a true story. It's me and my roommate after I got dumped, we were sort of like just drinking and shit talking to this guy. And then we were like, oh my God, we were like, for some reason, we should go through all his Venmo. So we were like drunk and we were just going through this guy's Venmo. And like, this was like 2018 or so. It's like you could like, or maybe even 2017, you could comment on it.
I think you still can, which is very strange. And you point this out.
It's so weird. Yeah. And so we were like drunk and this guy had dumped me like maybe 3 hours before this. Like it was pretty fresh. So then me and my roommate were just like liking it and like drunkenly commenting on it. And it was and he never said anything. But then the next year, like a year later, we like, so I was like, oh, it's the anniversary of when I got dumped. And my roommate was like, you know what that means? We have to go like comment on all his Venmo again. And we did that for like 2 years. Just terrorizing this man, just terrorizing him for no reason.
And he never says anything.
No. I mean, I haven't done it in many years. Maybe I'll do it now. Maybe we'll do it. I'll be like, guess who's back?
What would you rate? What would you rate? Like, oh, interesting. You couldn't take me out. Like,
no,
what do you rate?
It wasn't even personal. It was just like really, it's even weirder because it was like really innocuous. He would be like a pizza emoji. It would be like, love pizza. Like it wouldn't like be like, oh, how dare you? I thought it would be freakier if I was just like, oh, did you get coffee? Like it was so.
So it wasn't even angry. It was just like, that sounds lovely. Or the weather was good for this that day.
Exactly. Or I'm like, great, good thing you paid rent on time.
So
Thumbs
Like,
up.
it
so
was
you're
so weird.
you're reacting as if he sent you those texts and you're just responding.
Or yeah, or it's like, or how the vibe that we were going for, it's like, when you're like back in the day when I'm off Facebook now, but like back in the day when you would have like a grandma or an aunt comment on stuff that had like
Right.
nothing to do with her. Like you'd be like talking to your friend on Facebook, and then your like random great aunt would be like, looking beautiful, ladies. And I'm like, that's the vibe I want to bring to his Venmo feed right now.
Do you remember why you broke up?
He was like, it was one of those things. It like, so he was like, when I was 22, I moved to the city. I went to like, it's very tale as old as time. I went to like my first open mic ever. And then you immediately start dating someone like 8 years older than you, right? That's like
Mm,
how,
They got to show you the
hmm.
ropes, right?
yeah, that's how Brooklyn-based stand-up comedy works. And
Yes,
then
and because you're in the younger seat, you think you're
mm-hmm,
dating. Because he's in the older seat, he didn't even think he
yes,
dumped you. He just thought
yeah.
Tuesday rolled around. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
or no, it was
following.
like we were like actually, so we were like, it was very like, oh, like I was dating this guy, and I didn't. It's such a like 22-year-old thing to do. It's like I didn't like him at all, but I was like, but he's like really cool. Like he knows everyone at the open mics. Like I can't like ruin this relationship. He has too much cultural capital.
Sure, it's
Like,
his own bucket from home, in fact. You
exactly.
guys put your names in, yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, his roommates are his 6 roommates are also comics. It would be devastating if I lost this relationship. And you're like in that, you're like, I'm like, I can't ruin this. And I'm too powerful now. And then you're like, oh.
I've had, by the way, the Venmo thing, which you point out, it's so fucking weird that it's a bank transaction that became social media, whatever the fuck. I've had people Venmo me publicly, like half a dinner or something. I'm like, hey, who the fuck asked? I didn't.
Yeah.
Now I just look like a fucking weirdo. And why are you doing to say that we hung out? Like the whole thing is so fucking
It's
weird.
so weird. It's so weird. Why is any of it visible? It's crazy.
Right. And you brought up like, oh, Rachel, I'll pay you for the pizza, but not till tomorrow at 11 when everybody's scrolling through.
Right, right.
That's
It's like
prime time.
exactly. It's like the social mediaification of all interactions.
You know
Or
what I
like it's
use it for? I use it to make sure that I'm paying the right person. So
mm-hmm.
most of the time, I actually do pay my rent via Venmo. And the
Yeah, me
rest of the
too.
time, it's comedians who do, maybe live shows for us or something. And I'm like, going back and forth with them. Is this your Venmo? Is it not? And they get cute. And it could be, their picture, but they're famous enough that somebody could put their picture,
Right.
caught their name, and
Yeah.
I'm just sending money. So, and I know that you can verify via phone, but sometimes I have their reps number. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I look through their feed and go like, oh, they're interacting not just pizza and tacos. It's pizza and tacos with somebody else who's been on our show. It's pizza
Yeah,
and
yeah,
tacos
yeah.
with this producer. It's pizza. And I'm like, all right, this is the right, you know, think of the name Keith Malley. Like you can find Hemda, but
Yeah.
the
Right.
Keith Malleys of the world need to associate pizza with other people in their feed.
Yeah, yeah. But I also feel like I do that also, but also I think of myself, like my Venmo photo is like a picture of me from high school. Like I am like a child in it, and I'm like standing in one of those, in the woods where they have those things where you could like climb up a tree and there's like sort of it looks like a tree house, but it's there so you can get away from bears.
Okay.
I'm like standing in one of those, and I'm like, that's a very different life from
Your
now.
childhood was different than mine.
I mean, it was just like, yeah, I'm just like standing in this bare tree thing and being like, comics are like, what's your Venmo? And I'm like, oh, I should probably change that someday, but I never
I,
will.
I saw one comic writing to another comic like, here's money for jokes you wrote, or vice
Oh
versa. And I'm like, is this a move?
my God. Wait, that's so juicy. We
Or,
we know who's writing for who.
right.
That's
Like, yeah,
amazing.
oh, a request, right. It's a request. Like, okay, I sent you jokes, so you send. I'm like, that's for everybody, and that's deliberate.
Yeah.
There are also things that I can't tell if I'm old fashioned or not. So maybe you guys let me know. I see couples that have been together for a while, they live with each other. They're in For most purposes, they're married. I understand the piece of
Right.
paper is different, but
Mhm.
financially, I imagine they're married, they're living together, all of that stuff. And they're paying each
Rent.
other back for like half a cab ride or a dinner. And I'm like, I don't know how you measure that. When at what point in your relationship do you go, I'm not paying you back for dinner.
Right.
You're here and I'm gonna eat. Like I'm not I'm especially not giving you money for my pizza. I'm
Yeah.
certainly not sending you $5 for shit. Like
Right.
no, I'm never giving you $5. Like,
Never,
it's
never
that's
again.
I'm not paying you back for $5 when we pay rent together.
I
So
Right.
request $8 because they ordered the broccoli rabe and didn't eat it. You know you don't like broccoli rabe. God damn it. When
Right.
I'm at the ATM, I take a picture of the receipt and post that.
Perfect.
Yeah, who
Good.
gives a fuck?
Yeah. They're like, here's everything.
is that
Do
old fashioned? Do you guys, is there a cutoff
It's
point
weird.
of
Oh,
this
definitely.
exchange of money? There's got to be a cutoff, right?
I feel like at a certain point, it's like you use the like karma system, or it's like you're like, oh, let me pay for this meal because you paid for a meal, or it just gets very like,
Yeah, like I
right? It gets
assume we're gonna see each other again.
right, right,
Plus,
right,
like,
right.
should I be adding up groceries or should we
No,
just do our
never.
finances together? Or
Right,
like
Plus, you
right,
every time,
right.
started with dating. So let's say the guy starts paying, then the woman says, okay, now I'll pay. How does it get to the point where you do start splitting half? And if you start
mm,
splitting half right away, how did that relationship even work? Because it's so fucking weird.
I think you start splitting because your finances are together. So it becomes like like you got all our groceries, so I'll get this. You know what I mean? It becomes
right.
you're not like, oh, like you owe me this. It's like, oh, I bought our communal toilet paper, so you went out and bought our communal
That just
mouthwash.
means instead of a budget, you're just keeping tally in your head. And that
I
is
know.
not like, how do you have sex then? You know, like
Right.
Right.
to
You're
me, like
like,
they're
this
these
time I
are
came, so I
So I
guess I'll make you
request
come.
you, and then I send a picture of a piece of cake
Right.
or
Oh my
something. Yeah.
God. Yeah, exactly. And it's great. And everyone can see.
That I got laid, right?
Yeah. I'm like, guess what?
Does you were raised religious, correct?
I was raised, yes, I was raised by my very Catholic mom. But then my dad was very atheist. But my mom was like, you get no say in this. And he was like, okay. So,
Would you have to go to church
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
and then come home and do you commiserate with dad? Like,
Not
this
really.
was
He was
kind of
very
dumb.
he would do his own thing. And I think he sort of enjoyed having my dad, like, I think he enjoyed having his own time on Sunday. So he would be like, no, no, you go.
Right.
God is real.
Don't be late.
Listen to your mom. And then he'd be
Kicking
like,
you
oh
out the
my
door.
God. Yeah, literally,
God is good.
literally. Yeah.
actually,
So he's
that's
like,
such a good idea. Maybe
yeah,
believers should marry non-believers so you could make sure that there's, me time for everyone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, smart.
Exactly. My parent, I feel like I think about it myself and I'm like, I don't think I could like I think about marrying someone who is super like specifically Christian and I'm like, I don't think I could do that. And then my parents have been married for like over 40 years. It's like totally fine. And my mom's like super religious and my dad is not at all. So
As
You think
long
they'd
as
bring that into bed? Like she's like, oh
oh
Jesus,
man,
and he
you'll
goes,
have to call
who?
my mom and ask her. I would
Okay, that's
actually
fair.
rather kill myself than know that.
Sure, sure. Well, you bring up, and it'll get back to religion, of course, but yeah, you joke about who's the first person ever that in a relationship the guy goes, "Call me daddy."
Right. Oh my God. That's such a I that's that joke is such a like for me, that joke can go really south because people get really upset. Like
He
when I'm
goes, so she says, like call you, the first person ever, one BC. It's like call you daddy, like call you Steve,
yeah, like what?
call you the guy that says, "Oh, my ride's here" every time you pass a limousine.
Right.
That's what I'm supposed to fucking call you. And then it leads to Jesus Christ being like, all right, here's the thing. Call me daddy. Like, what the fuck? No, no, no. It's okay. Long story short, I am my dad.
Right, right. That it's like, yeah, it's a play on the like Father, Son, Holy
Sure.
Spirit of it all. So Jesus is his own father, so you should call him daddy.
Has
And
that
that
upset
joke,
your mom?
I don't, I'm trying to think if she's heard that one. I think she has probably. The whole stand up upsets her. So I
Okay.
think one joke out of it, I'm not anymore. She's very cool with it now, but that's an older joke. So when she would have heard that, she probably would have been like, why are you doing this?
Will
Why are
she
you
see your
on
stand up?
stage?
Does she see your stand up period? Like you tell a joke, for example. when I have kids, I'm gonna tell my daughter, hey, look, don't have sex, until you find a guy that doesn't finger fuck you like you're being accused of a crime. Does she
Yes.
ever say, hey,
Uh,
come on, what are you doing?
she never like has had any like individual problems with a specific joke. More than she at the beginning was sort of like, what are you doing with your life?
Okay.
Like she would more say that. But no, she would never go for my jokes ever. I think is maybe because they upset her too much. She was like, it's a very Catholic thing to be like, if I don't even acknowledge that my kid said that,
Right.
it never happened.
That's true.
Yeah,
If my
So
dad
that's
didn't encourage my bad behavior, I wouldn't have came out with this dad emails book. But
exactly,
he tried to
exactly.
attack and fix me, and next thing you
Hmm.
know,
I do think,
And here's the book.
right.
we all have parents that have been together for a long time, and in some ways it's like, well, how does an atheist and a uh super religious person stay together? And I'm sure I could say the same similar things about my parents and anyone who had stayed together for 40 years. I think at the end of the day, it's not how do you get along, it's how do you not bring up the stuff that will piss each other off?
Yeah.
Because there's no way they're even bringing up religion in your house. Like
No, not at this point. No
there's
way.
so much
Mhm.
to talk about and so much to do. I
Yeah.
think they would rather talk about paying the mortgage or the rent or whatever than ever bringing up if this is real or
Right.
not. So I
And
think
religion, yeah, it's not a fight you can win. Like even no matter what you believe, there's not going to be that thing that you say where the other person is like, actually, totally, you're totally
right.
right. You know what I mean?
But do you ever? I'd be nervous, like I'd say something and not mean to hurt my partner, like maybe the stupid latest Exorcist movie comes on TV, and I'm like, well, this is dumb. Oh no, honey, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
you
But I
don't
guess
take
you
that ball.
stop.
You
Yeah.
don't catch it. You don't catch that ball. You go, I guess I didn't think quick. There goes the
Yeah.
ball. Oh, that would have been a great conversation. Oh,
Right.
look at me. I'm so goofy. Do I hear the kitchen needing to be cleaned? Okay, I'm coming. Like
Exactly.
you don't have to catch every trigger that your partner throws at you.
Right. And also, yeah, it's like as the person who might be insulted, it's like you kind of have to let some stuff go too, because this is like the life you've chosen and the person you've
Right.
chosen. So you can't be like, how dare you not like The Exorcist when you know I believe in it? You have to be like, yeah, okay, not for everyone.
Has she tried to leave like rosaries on the table or a nice prayer card for dad?
Not for my dad. I think my dad to her is like a lost cause. Like
Okay.
it's like not happening. And for me, like less so now. Actually, not, that's not true. She'll like, I get like prayer cards. I get like, when I was a kid, I would get like books that were like, looked like regular teen books, but then they were like religious teen books,
Right.
which are the worst kind of books in the world. And like, yeah, so it's like she would try to like do it to me, but now she sort of backed off. But as I get older, I don't I'm not like more religious, but I am more, I like have become attached to like Catholic iconography more. Like I'm like
Meaning
I
what?
like I love the like I have all the like Mary and like all the saint candles, and I have them in my apartment, and I have like this like I found this big painting of Jesus on the street that I took into my house, and then I painted, or I like taped all these like pinup girls around him. And I like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like one of
Sure.
my favorite things in my apartment. And
That's
I'm
just
like,
what your mother wanted.
exactly. But also I'm like, well, I like it because like, even though I'm not Catholic, and I would argue that I really am very anti-Catholic church, I'm also very comforted. There's something very comforting about the thing you grow up in, about the thing your mom loves, about like the thing like, oh, I'm making fun of my mom for this stuff she does. And then you're sort of like, oh, like
Especially when it's surrounded by pinup girls. You can
exactly.
always
And they're
get into
hot,
it.
and there's hot girls around it. What's not to like?
I have my mom's sewing kit. I don't believe in sewing at all. It's just
Yeah, you're like,
interesting.
I don't think it's real.
I just like this cookie tin. What can I tell you? I remember loving choose your own adventure books, and then next thing you know, my parents tried to substitute religious choose your own adventure books, and I'm like, well, where's the fucking adventure?
Yeah.
Do I steal the kids' candy or do I not? I'm like, I'm gonna guess I don't steal it. Oh, good. The story goes on. How
But isn't
dumb.
that like the ultimate adventure? It's like, do I go to heaven or do I go to hell?
That's my
The
dad, by the
ultimate
way. He
one.
would talk about the Bible and be like, there's more excitement in here than your Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And I'm like, I I don't see it.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
I
see
got
what you're seeing.
when I was a kid and I was in like Sunday school shit, how old was I? I was young. I was probably like 10 or maybe even younger than that. I remember hearing about like the like revelations, like the end of the world,
Yeah.
and I was so scared. I was like, and you know how in churches and shit, they're like, it's coming any day, could happen
Right.
any day. And they tell that to like 8-year-olds, and then I was just like, what? Like every
Dragons?
so I was so scared, like more scared of any like movie or like anything I
Mhm.
was like seeing as a kid. I was just like, what am I
Oh,
afraid
that's
of? I'm afraid of
mortifying. Your father
Jesus
was
coming
right.
back. I know, I know.
There's a thing on Instagram I follow. I forget what it's called. Something like the Bible in truth or something like this. But it's somebody takes the actual words from the Bible, puts it into AI, and AI draws it. And it's like, here's what you think angels look like, and it's what you're picturing right now. And
Mhm.
then they go, this is according to the Bible, and it's just a giant floating eyeball with a
Yeah,
halo around it, and 5 different AI versions saying basically the same thing. I'm like, oh,
right.
this Bible describes some weird shit that we just acted like we didn't read right.
Right. And you're like, maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger should do this movie.
Right.
Maybe it would be really awesome.
Where are you literally right now?
I am literally right now in my beautiful house. No, I am in
Yeah,
the
nice.
house. I'm in the house that where I nanny.
Okay. Are we worried where the kids are right now?
No, the kids are in school. Kids are in
Oh,
school. Um,
that's the best way to nanny.
I know it's so good. No, right now I'm doing this thing. I'm just staying overnight for a few nights with the kids. But
Okay.
so that means during the day I'm sort of living my like my very best sort of like rich single mom life.
Do you pour a little bit of wine and act like you're
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm like I love my house. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And usually what I do is I just watch all the TV subscriptions I don't have.
Okay, you catch up.
Yeah, and it's not even stuff I want to watch. I was like watching last time I was here sleeping over, I watched like the morning show. And
Okay, right.
I was
On
like, this
Apple
is
TV.
fucking awful, but I'm like, I have to watch it. I don't have it.
Do
That's
you
funny.
ever have to go ahead, Brenda.
I used to watch MTV when I babysat because we didn't have any cable. And I'm like,
Mhm.
and it would go to commercial and I go, all right, I'm switching away from this, but I better not miss a minute. This is
Yeah.
MTV.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever worry where you stop something because they might see where you picked up?
Oh, that's a new anxiety you've given
Oh,
me.
sorry, sorry. I didn't mean none.
That's something new to be afraid of. Um, I think
See,
there's
look at that. Look at that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but kids today don't know to already have anxiety. Here's the anxiety I came with when I was your babysitter, everybody.
yeah, yeah.
You know how parents, and I'm usually doing it for like a cousin, so my aunt is paying me or my parents' friend's kid or whatever. And they would leave like a bowl of popcorn or a bowl of potato chips or both or three bowl and I'm like, oh my God. And I just sit there all night going, if I eat 3 potato chips out of this, they won't notice that I ate. And I'll have like 5 to 10 pieces of popcorn throughout the night. And then I'll still have bowls of stuff and I won't be rude and eat their food. That's how I was raised, that it would be rude of me to take this. And I didn't have like potato chips and popcorn at the ready in my house. So I was drooling. Meanwhile, if I wanted somebody to babysit for me, I'd be like, why didn't you eat the chips? Like that's actually psychotic.
I
Like
know.
how did you sit as a 12-year-old I'm babysitting? And they're like, so you just sat in front of potato chips all night. Okay.
That's so funny. No,
Well,
I like
not this generation. Now, you remember our buddy Benny, he's like 12, 14 years old. He's using my Netflix or whatever. And I'm like, oh, look at you. You just happened to finish this part when Madonna was getting eaten out on a car. Interesting. Like, at least fast forward a little bit.
you're like, please, you're like, I'm on to you.
Right.
Just send him like text him like some Madonna videos. You're like, there you go. There you go. This is better. Like
You did nanning in England, right?
yeah, so I when the pandemic was happening, I was a nanny. I was working as a nanny for this family, and then I was working for this actress Emily Mortimer and her husband Alessandro Nivola, and we're all very good friends now, so that's why I'll say them. But yeah, so I was working for them in like a very like very normal, not even nanny really. It was like a babysitter and it was like pretty chill. And then the pandemic hit and Emily Mortimer, she's English. And she was like, this is crazy, but can you come move to England with me for like 3 months while I make this TV show? And I
What
was
have
like,
they? What TV show? I'm curious if Benny ever masturbated to your
maybe.
clients.
And if he hasn't, I'll send him
Okay,
the
that's sweet.
timestamps. But but no, she was making this TV show called The Pursuit of Love, which was this
Okay.
BBC mini series with Lily James and Dominic West. And
Sounds good.
it was awesome. But yeah, we were living on this Duke's estate, like literally, like it was like in a castle. We were living in like the hunting house, which I didn't really know. Right. It was insane. And it was like me and this the kid who I would nanny, who was like at the time 10, me and this 10-year-old just all day long going around like the grounds of the castle.
Right.
And like it was
Was
so
there a
crazy.
horse or
There
something?
were like I would walk by horses, you'd walk by people who just like work on the grounds of the castle. It was so out of body. I was like, this it felt like a horror movie, and I'm like, the nanny doesn't survive this.
Right.
Like this is not it's
You opened the wrong door. You've seen too much.
right.
So the whole world's going crazy, but they probably have like 2, 3 people. Their only job is to wash the boxes that come in.
Yes, yeah. So it was like very much, it felt like one of those like really esoteric, like A24 horror movies
Right.
where it's like all the horror is happening outside and you could like, someone will turn on a TV and you'll hear it and it'll be like, oh, turn that off, darling. Or it's like you see like on newspaper strewn and there's like a horrifying headline. And
Right.
then we're just like drinking tea.
Are there more crumpets?
Yeah, I was like, oh yes, we'll go around the gardens. But I was like freaking out the whole time because I didn't have this was like deep early pandemic and I didn't have a return flight. And I was like, I hope I see my family again.
Oof.
I hope
Right.
there's like New York when I get back.
Do you keep checking on them because you missed the castle? Like, hey, you need anybody to shale the driveway or something?
They're still exactly they're still back.
Do you need somebody to rake the pebbles? You know, whatever they do over there.
Whatever they do. I at one point I one of the more embarrassing things that happened to me there, I was like hadn't like talked to I like only talked to this family for like 3 months pretty much. And like these like guys came to like fix something in the front of our yard or something. And I think it was a mixture of like I hadn't talked to anyone else outside this family. And also it was like men, like real, like not like these like aristocrat. I was just like, oh my God, there's like working guys out here. So I just like went out of the house. I was like, hi guys, like I like, do you guys want some tea or something? Like, I was like doing that. It was so embarrassing. And I was like laughing with them, making a total fool of myself. And I like go in the house to go like make them tea, I guess. And I like go in, I'm going like, I'm like giggling.
Right.
And standing there is like the 16-year-old brother of the kid I nannied, just looking at me like, what are you doing? And I was like, you didn't see me do that.
Fluffing my hair 10 times. Did you feel like you had a responsibility to make sure that the kid you're nannying isn't turning out to be too did you have to say, hey, this is just between us, here's really how life works?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always, I feel like part of the, whenever I nanny, it's like, that is part of what you're getting. It's like, I'm not, right. I'm not like, I'm okay with kids, right?
Right.
I'm okay with kids. I'm like pretty responsible, but like what you are getting is kind of a wake up call. I'm like, shut up. And the kids are like, what? And parents are like, that's so great. We love that. Yeah, like that's
do
so
that more.
great.
I mean, we'll say
Yeah.
you're a bitch when you're gone, but I appreciate it right now, telling
Yeah.
you face to face.
Yeah. So that is, I feel like that's part of what I can offer.
Do you worry about cameras in the house?
Like them having cameras?
Yeah.
Not really. I know
Nanny cams, right?
nanny cams. I guess not. Maybe again, now I've lived
There's
very
a teddy bear
stress-free.
on every shelf now that you look. Like, wait a
I know.
second.
I'm like, no, I'm not worried.
She's looking for the elf on the shelf now. It's for her.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like, yeah, I'm not that worried. I get in trouble for like drinking their wine, but
Right. I say when I go into anybody's house, I go, it's against the law. This is
yeah.
against the law.
You're like,
And
New
then I live
York
my
is a
life.
2-party recording state,
Right.
actually. Like,
Right.
so good luck.
I'm reading about, speaking of kids, an 8-year-old chess prodigy became the youngest player ever to checkmate a grandmaster at a classic tournament match.
Wow.
Whoa.
Ashwath Kaushik of Singapore defeated 37-year-old Polish grandmaster blah 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 in the 4th round of the blah 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 in Switzerland on Sunday. He beat the record of the youngest player to top a grandmaster in a classical game at 8 years, 6 months, and 11 days old.
Wow.
I felt really excited and amazing, said the grade schooler who started playing chess at 4 years old.
Oh my God.
Now, when is that good news? Like when you find that your kid does that,
No.
are you like, oh shit? And then you're like, all right, what's the price of a candy bar?
I'd be like,
$100.
please be cooler.
Yeah, what's the price of a car? $100. Like, all right, how do you say hi to a girl? What? You're like, fuck.
Exactly.
Did you guys just bully the new grand champion? Is that what
We're
you
like,
did?
yeah, fuck this kid.
Yeah, they'll cut him down a notch, easy.
Yeah.
Congrats, asshole.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just checkmated him.
Holy
I guess
shit.
for me, I'm like not that impressed because I believe any child could beat me at chess. I feel like you put any child here and I would be like, yeah, you win. I don't know how to play chess at all. So when I hear that, I'm like, sounds about right. Yeah. That kid did
Checkers,
well.
anyone?
Exactly. Tic-tac-toe.
My dad made up chess rules, I realized later in life, so that he would beat us as kids.
Stop it.
We would have him, cornered or something. He's like, if you can't take me out in 3 moves, it's a tie. And then I'd play with real people.
Oh my God.
And by that I mean people. And they're like, "What's this rule, you fucking idiot?"
Holy,
That's
here's
funny.
You're allowed to change the way a horse moves once a game. Everybody knows that.
Oh my God. I thought your father was done surprising us. Did you see that book earlier on? That is a book of
Yeah.
emails back and forth between Keith and his father, but his father thinks that he is emailing Keith's ex. For an entire fucking year, this guy revealed himself and relieved himself in many, many emails.
He hit on
Oh.
me, basically.
That's sort of right. And that's sort of cathartic.
Yeah,
That's
and
like-
then you think, okay, that's it. Nope.
No.
Mm-mm.
That's crazy.
No, there's a point where he thinks he's talking to
Yeah,
my
that man sounds
ex-wife.
like he's good at chess, right?
Yes, yeah.
That sounds like a man who's good at chess.
He thinks he's talking to my ex-wife. He's really talking to me. And he says, you make this old man's libido jingle. That is not a third into this book because he wouldn't stop.
Oh, is your dad, is he still alive? Is he
He
aware
is,
of that?
thank goodness. Yeah.
Is he aware of the book?
Not only is he aware of it, he signed for it.
Oh,
I sent it to
my
him and he had to
God.
sign for it. So he has it. Yeah.
Oh,
Very excited. And
my God.
I'm going to take out a billboard in his town.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, because I know Keith is going to get this billboard whether the finances say to or not. So
Right, right.
please buy the book. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
if your jaw hasn't dropped to the ground, like, listen, you've been looking for a way to not hit snooze, right? Just read a couple lines of this book. It'll wake you right up. You know,
I'm already
whether
awake just hearing
right?
about it.
Well, my eyes are wide
I'm like,
open,
oh my
jaws on the
God.
floor, everything's open. Let's go. Now just take a shower,
Yeah.
wash it off, and you're ready for your day. Oh my God, it's available on Amazon. It's called The Dad Emails. It's so easy to find. Put
The
Keith
Dad
Keith
Emails.
Malley's name and father, whatever the fuck. I get this book.
That's so crazy. But then maybe your dad thought it's like, when baseball players like hit with the weights on.
Right.
Maybe that's what he thought he was doing for you with chess.
Oh, this is a new one.
He's
Okay,
like,
This is a new
if
one.
I make
Okay.
it so impossible, he's gonna get into the real world. I mean, I'm defending your father, and it doesn't sound like I should be, but but maybe
You're picking up on
yeah,
something. Yeah.
I'm picking up.
Well, I keep picturing him like he's gonna cross off the word dad and on the cover and write the Keith emails. He's like, it's my book now. I have your
Yeah.
email. I'm like, so buy it now before he hires a lawyer. All right.
Right.
Okay.
That'll be the sequel.
Speaking of chess, I played. This is chess related to me. I played Wordle, and I haven't done this, but the whole world loves it. And I I got it on the second try. I'm in, I'm out, I quit, I'm retired.
That's I'm so bad at Wordle. I like it's so humbling. I realize I'm like, what's a 5-letter word?
Period. Look how many,
I'm like,
there's 6 5-letter words?
right. I'm like my boyfriend plays it every morning and I like it's so infantilizing. I'm like, let me help. And then I'm like, and I'm going like this. I'm counting on my fingers. I'm like, and I'm like, this is not for me. Yeah. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I'm looking at what I did. And my first word, I don't think it's a word. Adios, ADIOS. And I'm like, that uses
adios.
adios. Okay, it's Spanish. I do have a Spanish keyboard
They're
that I don't know
giving
how to
it.
get rid of ever since Duolingo. So maybe I'm allowed Spanish words. But that's a good one to start with.
Maybe they just give you Spanish words if you have a Spanish keyboard. Can they tell? I don't know.
I don't know. But
Because otherwise they can't do that, right? It's like foreign I don't know. My dad is a total white man who speaks fluent Chinese. We love the type. And when I was a kid, we would play like Scrabble, which first of all, I'm like deeply dyslexic, so it's already like a walk in the park for him. But he would
right.
use like Chinese words, and I would be like, "You can't do that." He'd be like, "It's a word."
No, he
So I'm
can't
like
do
deeply
that.
triggered by this. I'm like, that's a foreign word. That's not allowed.
Well, well here, maybe I shouldn't admit this, but all right, I'm gonna give away today's Wordle. So it started with adios, and then I
Adios.
figured out it's
Did you print
sense.
out Wordle? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm framing this. You kidding me? I'm retired.
Wait,
Uh,
that's incredible.
but I'm like, all right, so the S I got right, but
Mhm.
it's in the wrong place. I do know you can use words twice, and I didn't use an E. So I figured sense, but when I typed in sense, I wrote SENCE, and they go, that's not a word. I'm like, okay, then the other one, and done and retired.
That's incredible.
I don't think you're retired. I'm going to bet that you're going in again and that you're going to get heavily into this. You're so into words.
Right, some
It's
8-year-old from Singapore is going to come beat you, and you're going to
it,
have to come out of retirement.
it feels like a crossword puzzle for stupid people. I can do the Wordle. I don't mind that.
Are you going to?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, until I do it in one.
Oh, okay. And then you'll retire?
Then I'm retired. Then I'm burning my phone.
But that's just pure luck. You
Wow.
guessed the word once.
All right.
That's
And this kid
pure
just got
luck.
lucky with his rook, and I
Yeah,
was 37 years old.
exactly.
He probably had dementia.
Exactly. We don't know.
I'm
Were
gonna
you
tell you,
there?
right.
Yeah.
I see here that Wendy's, the fast food restaurant, is gonna introduce next year surge pricing. The way that like
Oh.
Uber, for example, charges you more during peak hours, Wendy's will charge you more based on the time of day that you order.
That is so evil.
It's
But
crazy.
but people
Ugh.
do lunch deals that are cheaper, not more expensive.
It's the opposite.
Does fast food understand that I'm deciding between their dollar menus?
Right.
Right.
I feel dumb paying um real money for fast food.
But it's gonna
Like
be like
I
scarcity mindset, right? They're gonna do it at like or like at like truck stops and at like places where there's not anything else around.
oh yeah, you're right.
You know what
Yeah,
I
where like
mean?
I actually have no choice. This is the only
Yeah.
stop. Hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to be surge pricing where the cost of the menu items will fluctuate throughout the day based on demand. So when you walk in there, I'm going to tell other people, like, act like you don't give a shit.
Why does Wendy's think they're in demand? Is it because they're in the middle of nowhere? Is there not? I don't know. This isn't
The
going to work. Wendy's, I know much better than you people who have been in business for a very long time and are millionaires. Listen to me and my comedy show.
But does it also mean that if at a certain point of the day, if nobody wants like what's a disgusting thing at Wendy's? I don't know, like the salads there, that you could get them for like a nickel
Yeah.
if we're like surging,
Yeah.
does that also
I'm
that's
like, nobody's been
crazy.
here in 2 hours. I'll take this for free, you piece of shit. And by the way, of course, on the last week on Keith and the Girl, in your VIP package, keithandthegirl.com/VIP, we have a weekly wrap-up show where we talk about the guests behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. Maggie will be one next week, of course. So anyways, so don't focus on that now. That could fuck with your head. But the point is,
I'm like, be nice to me, please.
there's always this segment called Minimum Rage where Rod brings up a fight, and he's got like folders full of these. We'll never run out. A fight that happened in a fast food restaurant, whether it's the employee killing another employee attacking the customer attacking the employee, customers beating each other up.
A lot of gunshots, knives,
fucking baseball bats, deep fry grease that's hot. It's fucking crazy what's going on out there. If I get the wrong order, I've said this before. If I get the wrong order from McDonald's or something, I thank them. You left there alive. Who gives a shit? If it's hot, that's a fucking bonus.
Right.
Don't complain. But anyway, this is gonna start so many fights. This surge pricing.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no, it's $1 more today.
People
it's
are gonna
$1 more
freak
today.
out.
Knife in your face.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I worked retail I worked at the Tenement Museum, in this bookstore there. And that's like it's a museum gift shop in New York City. This is not McDonald's, you know what I mean? But we started charging for bags. We started charging 5 cents per bags.
Right.
Like everyone else, it was the law.
Yeah.
Like everyone fucking else. But apparently you don't have to do it at like gift shop. I don't know. But we started doing this. And people flipped the fuck out. We would have people screaming at us. There's something about a mentality of a person who feels like that they've been like you've done something over on them and you're squeezing more money out of them. It breaks people. And that was at like a museum gift shop. Imagine what could happen in a Wendy's.
For 5 cents in a bag. And how much are you really buying that you would maybe even need a bag? This is
right.
Yeah.
Well, also, it was like you just purchased like $60 worth out of like novelty, like
you got 2 magnets. Yeah, you got 2 magnets, a shot glass, and it's $6,000. Yeah,
right. And I'm telling you that you have to give me 5 cents for a bag, and you're like, I'm gonna kill you, bitch.
You know what? When I was younger, I worked retail, and I let people treat me completely like shit. I never talked back, and they were like, "This is dumb, that's dumb." I'm like, right on, whatever. I just kind of kept my mouth shut.
That's
I think now I would still keep my mouth shut because it's like, what are you going to say to these people? But for that particular thing, I would keep a pocket of nickels and go, that's all right. If you don't have it, I have it for you this time.
Yeah.
Be well. And just like purposefully, very, very specifically go like, I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Like they're your charity. You're
yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
And worst case, you have a roll of nickels in case you got to fight. So that's
exactly.
good too.
Good all around.
Wendy's will invest $20 million on high-tech menu boards that will update prices in real time. So you see the price change in front of you.
That's insane. It's like a stock market, but it's a fucking Wendy's.
Yeah, you're in front of me, and I'm like, oh, please don't get the Baconator. Please don't get the fucking Baconator. Shit! God damn it.
Right. So if someone else got one, like the same order as you, your whole order would go up. That's
I guess
so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, I'll take 10 cheeseburgers. And you're like, motherfucker.
I'm going to start like doing like figuring out what like the least ordered menu items are at all these places.
Let's see. The CEO or somebody in charge said they don't have a ceiling on how much the dynamic pricing model could spike the cost of the meal or whether the base price would actually fall during slower periods. So we don't know if it'll actually go down. They do know it'll go up. They can't promise right now how much it'll go up.
And they don't have a ceiling of how high it would go?
That's crazy.
Right. We don't know. Depends when you guys all come in. If you guys can work together at Wendy's.forums, maybe, this would work out.
Oh, what'd you pay for that milkshake? Infinity.
It's crazy. What if I feel like this is very like anti like, so what if you're like one of those like ultra religious families of like 17 and you like come in after church and all your kids get fries? What the fuck are you paying for fries?
That never happened.
You're upping your own. You're upping your own price. If you have a big family, you're upping your own price.
Keith, why don't you tell them as a Christian Catholic, if you were ever going to McDonald's after church, how many fries did you get?
You're allowed 1 large fry to share with the other 4 kids. You can have your own cheeseburger, but there's also 6, 7 waters in the car for everybody. So, yeah, it's not really a day out.
So like 5 fries and a cheeseburger. Not bad.
5 fries each, right?
That's a
Well,
meal.
you hope you get those fries first before you pass them around. That's for sure. Wendy's became the most expensive fast food chain in the U.S. after menu costs rose 35% due to inflation between 2022 and 2023.
Who do they think they are?
Right. You know,
They're not that good.
I can't wait to see, Wendy on Twitter. She's very smarmy and stuff. I wonder what she says after all these knife fights that are going to happen. Wonder what her cute
The
little quips
Wendy.
are. Yeah, the
She's
Wendy.
like, can you guys stop being poor? Can you please? I auditioned. I auditioned for this to play. How do I explain this? They were like revamping the Wendy's to be like millennial Wendy. And I like auditioned to do that and I got pretty far in the process, but it was like I had to do all like the movements and they would like CGI. And it was just a lot of they were like having her do like text speak. They were like, "Hey girlies, it's me, Wendy, lol." Like, and I was like, this is so awful and cringe.
But
You
then she had
do.
to
I
do
could see you
something.
looking like Wendy.
I could see
Yeah.
that too. But then she had to do something freaky backstage to the Burger King, and she's like,
Yeah,
"I'm
I was
fucking out of
like,
here. Fuck
no,
this."
no, I have some respect.
That's right.
I was
Uh,
like, I'm no surge pricing here.
Maggie Crane, thank you so much for your time. What should the
Of
audience know
course.
about you?
My name's Maggie Crane.
Okay.
I'll be doing my solo show side by side again in New York soon. So keep an eye out for those dates. Follow me on Instagram at Maggie Crane.
All
Thank you
right.
so much. Thank you so much for having me,
It was
guys.
very
This was
nice
really
meeting you.
fun.
You were fantastic. A delight, I would say. A
Oh,
delight.
stop. Thank you.
Now go pick up those kids.
I know.
Right.
I'm like, oh, bye. All right.
Hold on for 1 second. I'm just going to close out, though. We'll say
Okay,
goodbye
great.
properly,
I
like
just
we're human.
I just want to first of all, hi Chris, and Bad Beef just bought God Made Me on DVD. Now,
Nice.
I don't know if he's using DVD just because we're so used to the terminology or if you actually bought a DVD. Those are very rare now.
Mhm.
And it's just I just love seeing the physical form because I feel like in 10, 20 years it'll be like this is when this
Yeah.
happened. It'll be like an artifact. And Chris said something about your sixth sense for the sense word. And I
Yeah, maybe
wanted
that's
to
why I knew. Sixth Sense is like my favorite movie, and maybe I'm sure that's why it came to me, and I just got lucky. Hopefully tomorrow is Godfather or something. We'll see. We'll see.
All right.